Here to break it all down in 3 minutes is the host of The Ben Shapiro Show and DailyWire.com editor-in-chief, my friend Ben Shapiro. So there's a lot on the president's plate, and I wanted to talk to you about how you think they're managing that, because in some ways it does help, I think, to have the United States seem a little bit unpredictable when you have all of these different things happening around the world.
I do think that, for your enemies, you want to seem unpredictable. But for your allies, you do want to seem predictable. Your allies want to know that you have their back. And with regard to Israel particularly, the president has been very consistent on that. With regard to the Korean situation, that obviously has been a little bit more troubling. The real question with regard to the president meeting with Kim Jong Un, which may or may not happen now, it sounds like, is will there actually be preconditions? What will those preconditions be?
Right.
And what does the president hope to get out of it? If he really believes that the Kim regime is going to unilaterally disarm without the United States pulling all of its troops out of South Korea, which would be a disastrous foreign policy mistake, then I think that he's sorely mistaken. But again, this is a president who definitely operates by his own rules. I think that sometimes that is a good thing, is when he bucks the conventional wisdom on Jerusalem, for example, and sometimes it's not so good, as with the tariff policy.
Speaking of tariffs, I did want to bring up one thing. So Mario Draghi, who is the European Central Bank leader, had something to say about those tariffs. He said, if you put tariffs against your allies, one wonders who the enemies are. And I noted this morning that, Brazil purchases a lot of coal from the United States to make steel that then it wants to export. So it was not in the carve-out yesterday, and they have now already said, well, maybe we won't buy so much coal from the United States. So these decisions aren't without consequences.
Well, that's right. And I think this is the big problem with some of the issues on which the president feels most passionate. Obviously, he feels passionately about trade, and he believes that America's being screwed in foreign trade deals. But the evidence for that is simply not there as a general matter. And this particular announcement seems, off the cuff. It seemed like there wasn't even a policy written to support it as of yesterday. And everybody is scrambling to deal with it. That sort of unpredictability is not good for markets. It's certainly not good for international trade. It could lead to the depression of the economy that's really booming right now. I mean, the president had a really good month in February, 330,000 jobs added. It doesn't seem like the best way to cap that is with a move that is likely to put a damper on markets.
I thought I'd maybe ask you to talk about Syria for a moment, because the president acted very decisively early on in the administration and showed Assad, who's boss when it comes to the red line on chemical weapons. And that whole situation is just desperate, especially for the civilians, including children. Do you think that the president needs to revisit and maybe make a concrete policy in that area?
Well, I mean, obviously, we need something that more resembles a policy. And this isn't on President Trump. I mean, this thing was a mess thanks to the Obama administration. He was handed a complete mess, complete chaos. And obviously, he's handled things well with regard to ISIS. But if the humanitarian crisis in Syria is of any concern to the administration, they're going to need a better policy than let Russia do what it wants. And every so often, we'll have a firefight with actual Russian militias on the ground, which has actually happened. Right. So nobody really seems to know what's going on there. And I'm not sure there's a great solution, but the administration isn't providing a whole hell of a lot of guidance.
That's true. Well, in foreign policy, there's never any great solutions usually. There's just better ones than your alternatives. Ben Shapiro, make sure to listen to his podcast, everybody. Ben Shapiro, and you can find him on Twitter, too, @Ben Shapiro. Thank you.